Welcome back, everyone. I'm in the Cotswolds in Tetbury at Chavenage House with the wonderful James, who's been very kind to show me around his family seat, as it were.
Yes, yeah, scary, daunting. I'm excited to show you though, because we've got lots to back in.
Yes, and for those who watched it on Netflix, I know I did and loved it, this was featured in The Rivals and Poldark, and come around and have a look with both of us. James is going to show us. Well, this was the room that I have so far tried to not look about over here, so this is a joy to
This is kind of the oldest part of the house. Mm-hmm. So you're standing in the Great Hall. We call it a Great Hall. There's also bigger Great Halls out there. But this is kind of the core of the house. It's 13th century. Mm-hmm. So when Edward Stephens, the chap up here, came to build the wings, which you see now as that Tudor Elizabethan manor. Mm-hmm. This was kind of that real
the
core
first
section.
Core, and then it was
and then he built on
1576.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. And so you've got an organ above that still plays medieval music.
Good for a party.
Yeah. And then every Great Hall has to have a great fireplace.
Yeah, that is.
Now,
what's that? Do we know what this? It's like a.
So that's marble.
Wow.
And then you've got that kind of limestone.
Yes.
Look to it. The richer you were, the more marble you had.
Of course you did.
We were a little bit rich.
You've got a pretty good hall, though.
And then you got the kind of like coat of arms. The Stephens family on the top left.
Yep.
They were the Stephens family who built the house, so they're the Eagles. You've got two of our famous paintings. I would say they're probably our most valuable. You've got a Panini there, but it's actually done in a Capriccio style. And then in front of you there, you've got my ancestors. So you've got one that made all the money in the steel industry, and then you've got his son in the middle that spent all the money.
And this featured quite a lot in Rivals, right? I seem to remember this.
This room featured a lot in Rivals, but it actually featured a lot in Poldark too. This was the dining room.
Yes.
And
sat here somewhere.
Exactly, right in the middle. And we've actually replicated that in a few areas where we kind of had a Christmas party and thought we would act like it was a Trenwith house, and so yeah, it's been fun to kind of like play around with this room.
Yeah.
But also finding curtains to fit these windows is also quite difficult. So luckily, filming has helped us out.
Yeah. So they put that in.
They did, yeah. And we're also thinking about repainting, because lucky enough, when we do filming here, they also want to change the paint, meaning we can change back to whatever we want. So it keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And also save a bit of cost.
Excellent news. So where should we go next?
You want to hit the oak room, I think.
Okay.
So this is my favourite room of the house. This is the oak room.
I can see why.
It's kind of warm. Yeah, you can definitely see why. I mean, you don't get more than enough oak around. But back then it was all about oak panelling. Yes. I think it was kept in the warmth, but it also looked and felt cosy, and without having access to all those amazing colour and wallpaper.
I love all the gold accents.
Yeah, so this is kind of all the gold leaf surrounding the muses. So you've got the beekeeper, the dancer, the snake charmer, and the fiddler. And when Oliver Cromwell was visiting, because he was a visiting Puritan, as you know, the heads got taken off. And then they got replaced.
Stuck back on.
They got stuck back on. And this oak panelling was put in 1627.
Yes, it's often later, isn't it? It's put on after the fact.
Exactly that. Yeah, and then you've got Bingo there. That's my great-grandfather. And then you've also got this kind of like beautiful
yeah, it is, isn't it? Very different in style, actually, too.
Yeah, I think it was kind of from the dissolution monasteries. A lot of these fireplaces got taken from other houses.
Yeah, quite Gothic.
So they kind of like lean back a bit further in time. And then all the furniture you see around is all kind of Jacobean, which it's not my favourite. If I was going
What's your favourite?
I like Georgian, but I think it's because I quite like the grandeur.
Yeah, well,
we've got one Georgian room that I will show you in a little bit.
That sounds good. I met someone the other day who was talking about Tudor houses and why she loves them. And actually, it's this kind of that smell and that feeling of these rooms. And I've been in them before, and I think that's why I think they're so special.
Yeah, and it feels cosy.
Yeah, it does. Want to put the fire on.
Exactly, and so this house really sings in the winter because you've got all the fires on, black tie, smoking cigars, and having a
When it was raining on the way here, I was almost not that upset because I thought, well, I'll just stick all the fires on and we'll have a lovely time.
Which would have been good.
Yes.
So next time, I guess. There's one other thing I want to show you. It's this picture here. So the picture's not actually the interesting part, it's the frame. The frame is one that opens up, and behind it shows a more revealing picture.
Like an opening that would be a bit naughty?
Naughty, yeah. Back in the day.
There's not a naughty one behind there now, then.
Well, we haven't actually found the key.
Oh, so it's locked?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my grandfather looked hard, but no.
So it might be a naughty.
There could be. Right, on to the next room.
Okay, thank you.
So Tim, we're now heading in. Is the light on? Yeah.
Yes.
Into the library. Now,
I didn't really expect this down that corridor.
no, it's kind of like an unused room. We as a family don't use it often. It was actually previously when they built that 1576 section. This was actually the dining room.
Okay.
And then they had a underground safe that they put all this silverware. And so that's what I've only recently found that.
Silver safe room.
And then this would be the dining room, and then that got added on later.
So that's the latest part, is that right?
That's the latest part. So that's more Georgian, which we're going to go into in a second.
Great.
But there's a few things to pick out.
Yes.
You've got coronation chairs, which when you went to a coronation, you would then
take your chair.
Not with you when you.
No.
But yeah, you get the idea.
Delivered later.
Yeah, you got my great grandfather's rifle. We reckon that was killed in Dunkirk, and the rifle was found next to where his diary was found, and so that was really unique.
Yeah.
And then there's one biggest thing about the house that sits in that frame there, and that is the interior designs of Windsor Castle.
And why is that here?
Well, that's a very good question, Tim. We reckon that, well, to be honest, there was a whole lot of them found in the attic. When my grandfather was building his model railway, he went through different cupboards and found a whole section of these original designs signed by George IV, and then got on the phone and said, look, what are they worth? Sotheby's took them. The Queen then got in touch, and the Queen purchased them all for going rate, meaning we can then re-roof the house. And he also built a squash court.
I love that. Squash court as well. And a car.
Yes.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I think you probably did buy a car as well. And we kept a few back, so don't tell
that's fine.
the royal collection. We're now heading through into my favourite room, other than the oak room, which is the billiard room.
Lovely. Yeah, lead the way.
So this is the Georgian room. Tim.
Yeah, because
are you a snooker player?
Not particularly, no.
Damn.
Have a go.
Because no one uses it. Hustle. No one uses it. This is the thing, we got this amazing billiard table, but literally it's the most unused room because it's filled with
this is what you come in to only do this, right?
Exactly that. And if I wanted to sell it, it'd cost more to move it.
Yes, that's often the case.
But there we are. But I think this room we could use as like a sitting room, which would be lovely. But it's so far away from the living area of the house.
But it is wonderful, and it's very. You are right. It's very different in feel and tone. It's a bit Queen Anne-like with its colours, and the ceiling height is extraordinary.
And that's what I think I love about that Georgian architecture. Elizabethan's much smaller. Georgian's much wider.
Darker with its panelling and things.
And it almost looks more royal.
It's quite royal.
My family are much more kind of like jackets, and it weren't that smart, I would say. And so you've got these curtains which are kind of like that velvet, rich colour.
This was the smart room, wasn't it?
This was definitely the smart room. And I've always got this image of me with friends, getting in black tie and then playing snooker.
Yes.
But it's never happened yet.
No,
but one day. And then you got surrounded by paintings, some family, some not. This one on my right is of my great-grandfather and his brother. So that's John and Bingo, with my great-great-grandmother Beatrice, and she comes from the Savile family. Now I shouldn't say that too loudly because it's not connected.
Oh, that's fine.
Excellent. She's come from the family that kind of the Savile row was after.
Oh, yes.
So she was actually very classy, and they say she was class marrying brass, and that's the reason we added the ballroom.
Is that right?
That is indeed.
Okay.
And so my grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, had to sell 5,000 acres to build her the ballroom.
Okay, that's love. Now, before we leave, I've got to point this out because I have seen some of this in your friend over here.
Yeah.
Tell me the story.
So that's the warthog that I absolutely hate.
Yeah,
I hate it with every part of my being. It just doesn't suit the room, or it doesn't I don't know. Anyway, someone was at an auction. They put their hand up saying, "Does any bought it?" Because I think that's what you do. Has anyone got a big enough house? And my 9-year-old cousin said, "We've got a massive house," and it got sent in.
Here it is.
So Tim, you're now entering our most haunted rooms.
Okay.
Do you feel a bit spooky?
I think it's probably just the sound because of the tapestries. That's what I'm going to go for.
We'll work with that.
Soundproof.
We'll work with that. So you're standing in General Arton's room. This kind of like
absolutely incredible.
I'm kind of used to them now, but they really are amazing. They kind of kept in that amazing condition because we shut the shutters. There's no electricity in this side of the house,
so it stays ambient.
Exactly that. And this is a tapestry that was cut to measure
for this room,
so it wasn't made to measure. And this is more of a biblical scene, but interestingly, that the piece over there, because that's where the billiard room was. Mm-hmm. That piece of tapestry was wrapped around a pipe in the attic, and I don't know how it's just survived.
Some lagging.
It was some lagging that they kind of used as insulation. You've got
this is lovely. Very Elizabethan and all of your woodwork and everything.
It's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Same. It gives it that kind of same feel. Everything's kind of oldie-woldy, Jacobean, Elizabethan. You've got a hat cover. Everyone mistakes that for a hat, but it's actually a cover.
Look like a hat.
And that would be attached to your saddle. And then you've got Civil War swords. Mm-hmm. You've got cavalry and an infantry sword. And then behind you there on your right, you've got a coach gun.
Oh, wow.
And they were kind of the mini versions of blunderbusses, and they would be whipped out.
So you're holding up the coach. Whatever.
Exactly that. It's if someone wanted to nick your goods while you're in your carriage. So this was General Arton's room, who was the brother-in-law of Oliver Cromwell, and he was the protector, and so he used to be in this room to protect Cromwell while he was living in the next
Cromwell's
room.
on above the door there, haven't you?
Yeah. Now you're currently walking into Oliver Cromwell's room, which is definitely the scariest room in the house.
Definitely haunted, this one?
This is definitely haunted. This has been exercised twice, I think, or 3 times, apparently. And people have had some feelings in this room. The electrician's been pressed down, and that's probably why we've got no electrics in this room. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest thing of this room is that kind of amazing tapestry.
Very different in colour and feeling in there. It's this kind of forest green, isn't it?
It is. Interesting you say that. It's actually a depiction of the New World being America.
Really? Okay.
And so
this is what they imagined it.
This is kind of what it was imagined to be like. It was meant to be luscious and rich, and it was also made primarily out of wool, but in order to keep the dye in the wool, they used arsenic, and that is partly why it's not being eaten by moths and the like.
Yeah.
So we very much have this. It's been reconditioned once about 30 years ago, and other than that, it looks as is.
It's really bright.
In quite good order, and the ink's still there because obviously we shut the shutters all the time. It's always quite dark.
You're preserving that, aren't you?
Temperature's always quite cold in the house, hence why we're wearing jackets in the middle of September.
It's chilly outside.
It is, and rainy as we find out. And then in order to kind of show the room, this was famously slept in by Oliver Cromwell. We also have Oliver Cromwell done over there by Sir Peter Lely. Unfortunately, that's not original. Before you start nicking
that's a shame.
Yeah,
I like the way he's kind of looking at the bed, which is slightly spooky.
And interesting with that is that he was said to be painted warts and all. And Sir Peter Lely didn't want to paint him warts and all, so he put the warts in a shadow, but promised Oliver Cromwell that he was painting warts and all. And then over here, you've got a petition to take down Charles I, and you've also got a piece of Charles I's hair on your left there.
Which is in here,
It is.
Oh, I can see it.
But they say if you got all the pieces of hair from every historic house, you have...
You could do some kind of weird DNA.
Yeah, you could have quite a lot of hair, or quite a lot of, so you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But other than that, it is a beautiful, and it's wild to think that Oliver Cromwell, while he was trying to take down Charles I, was sleeping in this room to talk to Nathaniel Stephens, who was the MP living in this room, and he signed the petition to take down Charles I.
That's pretty insane,
quite a lot of history.
And it's all happened here.
We're now standing in the ante-room, so this was added on.
Okay,
as part of that 1576 core, and then you've got the ante-room, and then behind camera you've got the ballroom.
I haven't seen this yet.
And you haven't seen that yet, but interestingly with this room you've got my grandfather behind you. That was painted by my cousin. He absolutely loved that painting of himself. And then on the table we've got all our memorabilia from World War II. Wow. Now interestingly, the 254th battalion, the American battalion, or the topographic battalion, who were flying over, checking out and scoping Omaha Beach. That was all sent directly to the house, and then they built those 3D maps, working out how to take down Omaha Beach in World War II.
Was it requisitioned in the war then? Here?
It was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's mad
and survived as well, because a lot of them
survived.
didn't after that.
Yeah. And then this is the biggest room of the house.
I still didn't expect this, even though we've walked around.
Yeah, because I think from the front it looks...
You have no idea there's something like this over here.
And it's kind of hidden behind. But this is kind of our function room.
Yeah.
So this was a private kind of home. It wasn't a business. And now taking these places into the 21st century, you've got to mould it to a business.
You've got to, right.
And so now this room becomes really useful.
Yes.
Back then, it was my great-great-grandmother Beatrice who put it in, who just wanted it for waltzing. She wanted it for dancing. It's got a sprung-loaded floor, surrounded by oak, massive fire. So it makes for a really engaging and you can hold an amazing party.
There's some I mean, the thickness of this stone and this bay window with the stone mullions, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
It is, and I just think also, you know, that Cotswold stone just looks iconic, and it also blends in. Cotswold stone's got that amazing ability of like blending in. So it's kind of
its background in the countryside and everything else. Very, very soft, isn't it?
Now I've had my 21st here.
Do you do weddings in here?
We do weddings in here. We could fit about 100 people. We know that because we could fit 10 tables of 10.
Yes. It's a very different feeling, isn't it, to the other ones?
It's now time though to hit the priest's cell, which is just above the balcony.
Brilliant.
So this is what's known as the priest's cell, and it's quite a small, cosy room.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm guessing all hand painted.
It is all hand painted, but it's not really original.
No.
This is very much done for a set.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which one was that for?
This is for Poldark, and this is famously Elizabeth looking outside to watch Poldark canter in.
Weirdly, it's clearly been built like this because the view is perfect in symmetry, isn't it, down the drive?
I will mention the stained glass windows that are dotted around the house. They are all from the dissolution of the monasteries. So you had just one of the owners of the house, a family member used to collect them all, or one of the Stephens family used to collect it and then created this mosaic. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So this is Colonel Stephens's room, and I like to say it's one of the most famous rooms, but Oliver Cromwell is probably the more famous room.
Yes.
But this is famous because it was Elizabeth's room in Poldark.
Yeah. This is a beautiful room and really very bright.
Yeah, this is it's got kind of the evening sun through the courtyard, and it's also got the morning sun from out the front, and it's kind of
double
one of our grandest rooms. Yeah. So you're now in the attic of the manor. We're going to head over here.
God, James, this is insane. I didn't think it was going to be so big.
It's kind of like a hidden gem.
My gosh.
Its entirety, it's 9 minutes for a train to go around the entire thing.
That is, I'm speechless. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Does it work?
It does, only a little bit. We're hoping to partner with Hornby on Life at the Manor.
They were the trains I had
That's
when I was
it.
younger.
And I also found about 500 trains, and they're all Hornby trains.
Wow.
So I'm trying to bring it back to life. It's like having my grandfather back here with me.
It's amazing. It's like different countries and different seasons. You know, because we've got snow here. And
so it was kind of a depiction of his life.
Like
so
travels.
This is Austria,
yes,
where he spent a lot of time. He's also created his barracks. That's where he went. He was in the Royal Hussars. And then we've got Paddington, and then we've got the stations, and we've got a shipyard. We've got pretty much everything. Must
have taken, as you said, years and years.
I think that's why I didn't spend a lot of time with him, because this is where he was.
This is where he was.
Yeah,
well, now, you're taking that mantle on, aren't you?
I think it'd be a shame to lose it.
Thanks, James. So we'll go out to go and see the chapel, shall we?
Well, before you go to the chapel, I do need you to sign the book before we leave the house.
Oh, right, okay.
You're one of our famous guests.
Wow.
So Tim, this is our family chapel, which is always quite interesting to say.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't have.
It's quite unusual.
Has it always been a chapel?
Well, it was actually a folly. So the tower was a folly. That was built, you know, far earlier than the nave, and this is kind of where we're standing now. The Victorians built this bit of the house, of the chapel, to kind of look after the estate and everyone who'd worked on the estate. And back then you had 40, 50 people working on the estates. Now we have 3. So let's say services aren't as busy as they once used to be, but it's still kind of used as a family chapel. Now I'm going to point you over to this direction. So if you follow me, is an old Saxon font.
Is that almost looks like lead?
Yeah, so this was actually found in the grounds of the house. They reckon it's about 1,000 years old. Wow. And so it's by far the oldest bit of the house. So
brilliant.
It's very much a family
intimate,
chapel.
isn't it? So it's really, really pretty. And I love that there's lots of different details that are very different and look like they're from different ages.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the mould. The house has been around 500 years.
Yeah.
So I think you've got this kind of mould of ages, of eras. I like it being a chapel.
Yeah, it's intimate. These stained glass windows are amazing, amazing colours. Well, thank you very much, James. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming. You know a little bit about the house now.
Only a little bit. Actually, I helped by your YouTube channel.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a plug there. So your Life at the Manor.
Life at the Manor, yeah, check it out, and you can see all about life on the estate.
And of course, if you don't mind liking and subscribing, I'll see you at the next one.
Leave a comment as well.
Yes, do that.